I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and this is the first semi-final of the 2025 Portugal Carcassonne Online Championship between João Margarido with a screen name João Margarido and Ricardo Araujo with a screen name sportr. You can see the playoff grid, all the brackets on the screen. We're not going to go into too much detail, as I've already shown you the quarterfinals between João Margarido and Silvia Lopes, where João came up on top, not easily, in a decider. sportr had a bit of an easier time against Licinho Ferreira. And as for the other brackets of the playoffs, we're going to talk about that a bit later in the evening. We're going to show you the second semifinal, so more about that later. So João and Ricardo are both masters, exceptionally strong players, both national championships. Most recently, sportr won in 2025, João won in 2023. Their online stats at the moment are that João is in the mid-600s with an astonishing record of 17,000 games under his belt, a solid 7,000 games of experience for sportr, bottom 600s, lower 600 his rating at the moment, so João could be a slight favorite in this here match. And that was actually a very quick intro. I don't think I have all that much to add, maybe except from the fact that Ricardo Araujo has, I think, a more impressive in-person record because he's twice the national champion, and João has maybe a more impressive online record, just having a higher peak rating and also being the former captain of the national team in the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship, in the European Team Carcassonne Online Championship. sportr, of course, does have notable online achievements, such as the 2020 Mind Sports Olympiad gold medal in Carcassonne, an achievement which I, for very biased reasons, value significantly more than some others. And one other interesting thing about sportr is that he is a multifaceted board game athlete, not limited to just Carcassonne. In fact, recently he attended the Red Cathedral's World Championship, which was held at the same time as the in-person Carcassonne World Champion, which actually sportr was supposed to attend because he qualified as the national championship, but this time another contest gave way and a different Portuguese representative, Pedro Antunes, by the way, who's going to be one of our other semi-finalists later this evening, attended instead of Ricardo. That's it. I don't really have any other gossip. In case we have people who are knowledgeable about the Portuguese Carcassonne scene, then do let me know. But for now, I'm just gonna keep clicking the refresh page and waiting the 70 or so seconds until these two guys start playing. The format, as usual, is best of 3. It's going to be 3 minutes time bank plus 45-second increment per move. So experienced viewers will know the drill. Hi, Glovir. If I were to talk about players' styles, by the way, I don't think we're going to see a significant stylistic difference because very often players from the same countries kind of share the same school of thought as they often practice together. So it's probably going to be a classic open game of Iberian-style Carcassonne with not a lot of blocks, kind of significant emphasis on farms. reasonably aggressive scoring. You know, the kind of like dopamine-inducing maps with not too many holes in them. But let's see if we get a surprise here. So far, sportr gets himself the red starting meeples. And the first player position. João responds with a standard response with a straight line on the right. There's actually some debate on whether or not you should meeple this, and this precise tile is the reason. Like, this one sole tile is the main reason why I normally place the meeple over here if I'm green, but there's also a good argument for not placing that meeple. In any case, Ricardo is ahead on the scoreboard with these here 4 points. And sportr gets himself the crossroads as well. Johnny finishes the city. Ricardo finishes the road, is ahead on the scoreboard. And now green starts a new road over here. By the way, it's also it's always pleasant for me when both players choose the colors from the national flag, which in fact happens to be just a serendipity, not their intention, but it's very, very neat. Alrighty, so what are we having here? sportr now with the first kind of real decision of the game. Of course, he's going to start a new city, and he was choosing whether to start it here or whether to start it with the other road. I actually would have preferred it in the other place for a variety of reasons. Now, João, if he wants, he can actually go here and place the city cap like that and try to block this here square, but I doubt if it is worth a city cap or not. But I would consider that move quite seriously, though, because the idea is not just to block your opponent. After all, there are 2 tiles that fit still in the square still, if we were to do this. But then it kind of delays the development of this here city at the bottom, because red now cannot go over here, as it would create another blocking platform. And Ricardo pulls the trigger on it. Oh, sorry, João pulls the trigger on it. I quite like it. It's a bit of unorthodox to spend a valuable tile on blocking, but then also one needs to realize there were not that many tiles in the first place. Not that many places on the board where that tile would fit. Like, even here we would be supposed to leaving an empty city cap. So overall, I like what Ricardo did, but what João did. But look at this. Ricardo now gets just a fantastic advantage with these here back-to-back monasteries. Of course, this is like reasonably dangerous, as some sort of a big tile can go here and restrict 3 meeples to the same dagger as this here meeple. But even if all these here 4 meeples get blocked, I still like red's position, just because these guys score so many points. A 9-point monastery just like this, and the second monastery is secured. Johnny's trying to grab a 6-point monastery for compensation, and yeah, it's just not really going to cut it. Ricardo now makes a lovely move, starting a 4-point road and obstructing the development of the city. But the city is being continued, and now Ricardo is in a bit of a pickle. He chooses to restrict that city. I like that idea. We don't want to finish that road before we actually get a city tile in this here area. Both players are playing this pretty much by the book so far. Well, maybe with the exception of this here green meeple. I was a bit surprised by that one, but we don't have time to speak, as both players are saving time for the end game, blitzing out some moves. Obviously, thousands and thousands game of experience allows one to do that. Ricardo now needs to find this here move, which would restrict this here road to a crossroads. Only 4 crossroads remaining. And given that João is now behind 14 points on the scoreboard, what he needs to do is get something in compensation, like a good meeple advantage. We can see that the block doesn't work, but it is still actually a good idea, because sometimes we can get another curve and start a 4-point road over here, which would also restrict that square and protect our city as a result. Not going to work, unfortunately, as Ricardo is going to have an even massive advantage right now. Yeah, he's restrict this tile to the one and only right-handed dagger in the deck, 2 already on the board. And I don't know what I do here as green. As green, I probably pray that I draw this here tile soon enough. What else can I do? I can't really go anywhere to start a new city, because, like, regardless of where you put that tile, it becomes vulnerable. But I like this here move. We just discard the tile, and it looks like we're blocking this square for a winning mini-battle of 5 monastery points versus 3 road points. But what that move would do in reality is that we just wait for a vanilla city cap, and then we meeple that city, and then we hope for a starting tile and actually get ourselves an 8-point city in this here area. So that would be a bit of a deceptive move. But it is important that we go there without a meeple, because then if our opponent chooses to block, then we don't risk losing a meeple on this here square. And I really like this move more than anything else, and João finds it. Not the most obvious move. I just hope he doesn't tilt and doesn't resort to placing a meeple there, and this is exactly what happened. A very nice find here from João. Ricardo now has some strong moves available to him. Well, the kind of normal move here is to actually go like this and give up the shielded tile, try to go for a 6-point loop road, and hope to block this here square permanently on the next move. But then, given that red is ahead 18 points on the scoreboard, red might want to minimize variance, because if we go here, sometimes there's some negative scenario, like our opponents immediately drawing some sort of defense tile, like a rose, and then they would be able to both protect their city and then start a new one for 8 points potentially at the bottom. So this is what we don't want to as red. But then where else do we go? That is the problem. Like, anywhere where we start a new city that is like either unsafe or adds points to our opponent. Like, this would be actually a reasonable idea. So Ricardo plays this here move. I don't like it. I think this here idea was just a better version of what he was trying to do. He now, of course, will succeed with the block here and meeple the city, but he could have done the same whilst also going for a 6-point road. So I think this is where Ricardo misses some value, unfortunately, and João now is trying to come back. First of all, he's trying to block the new city of red from all sides, and most importantly, with the splitter tile, he's waiting for a triple city and a city cap to take over a 16-point city on the left, which would give him basically equalization on the scoreboard and 2 meeples back. And Ricardo chooses to use this tile for defense, which is actually very, very nice. There's still 2 tiles that fit into this square. He doesn't want to get his meeple blocked, even though he has 3 of those. He wants, of course, to have some more. And look at this. The triple city tile has already been drawn quite quickly. And Ricardo sacrifices points in an attempt to restrict the city. It is reasonable. I'm not sure if that is correct, actually, because there's still quite many tiles that fit into this square, but we're going to find out how this works. Okay, this is a misprioritization from João. I don't like this move at all. I would have much, much rather preferred to go over here and just start restricting the city a little bit later, because, you see, you want to place something here eventually, but not a straight line, because this allows your opponent to draw a curve and build a road all the way around your monastery. If you were to place anything else here, like a curve, a city cap, anything, that move would be much, much better. So I think it is a bit impatient here from João, who now, by the way, has a dilemma now. His city here is under threat, and he could go over here and protect it. But then the issue also is that there's still 2 starting tiles available in the deck, and we're kind of now not able to place the starting tiles. In fact, maybe as João, I would have gambled a little bit more and just tried to take quick points. So that was a bit of a sacrifice. We'll find out soon as to how justified it is. João, of course, is now going to go over here. Ricardo is going to go over here. He's going to try to invade that city, and green needs to hope that he gets some sort of city cap very, very, very soon. Oh, mistake here from João. Big, big, big mistake here from João. Of course, it is better to attack from the other side, just because this move gives back too many options for indirect defense. Also, I realized that I keep mixing João and Ricardo all the time. So Ricardo is the guy with this here city, and João is the guy with a big city, who, by the way, now has 2 tiles and a 75% chance for completing it. Very strong move from Johnny now, who now prevents the city from being completed, but now sportr renews the threat of completing this here city. Starting tile for Johnny, who now restrict the square a little bit, but not by much. There are, of course, still these 2 city caps that fit into that square, but we can go here and block later. This city is all but dead. We just need some sort of curve there. And that's why sportr is setting up a splitter tile. There's still one of those available to get himself meeple back. Minus 18 for green, but still a totally playable position. Basically, what green needs is just to win the coin flip to draw the first tile, preferably both of these here tiles. Monastery for green, no good square to use it. This is where we just stay disciplined and maybe maybe we just do something like this, right? So it's very directly sets up a blocking threat. We can get ourselves a straight line, limit the square to a non-existent rose tile. The problem with that move is that if our opponent gets a vanilla, they can go over here with a city cap and then cover up that square, leaving 2 road Doritos that fit there. And this is exactly what would have happened. So João chooses not to do that. Instead, he goes for the jugular to try and block this here square. And I actually quite like that decision because, yeah, think about this. So there are 2 of these critical dagger tiles, right? And they belong in 3 places on the board. 1, 2, so 2 in red's features, and 3. The third is on green's feature. So green loses if green does not draw one of them. So green needs to assume that green draws one of them. So then, if red draws the other one, red will be faced with a Sophie's choice. Either you go over here and save this meeple, or you go over here and save this meeple, and you can't actually save the other one. So the idea is that the blocking idea on the right is not that important because this meeple might be dead regardless, because red might want to save the meeple at the top to get the 4 points for this here city cap, 2 points for the road, meeple back, and so on and so on. There is still the option of continuing the city with a road Dorito, but if that happens, it will expose not 1, but 2 platforms that green can use to attack that city, block it, connect to it, or even overrun it with 2 meeples from both sides through a triple city. So I like the prioritization over here because it targets this particular square and it targets more unique sequences of tiles that red actually doesn't have uses for everywhere. Well, of course, the critical tile is the splitter itself, but there were some other options, such as maybe getting the last remaining starting tile for this square and then the last remaining Dorito for this here square as well. So Ricardo chooses not to defend that square, even though it was possible, since there is 1 triple city still that fits into the square. Ricardo would rather have his chances doing some other things, but I really don't like the discard here. What I would have preferred is a move like this, trying to just leave the city caps lying around in 2 different places, and if either side claimed the city cap, then would be restricting green's monastery, and green could potentially lose some points. But my biggest criticism for this move is the fact that it places the city caps in a position where only green can use them. So let's say if green gets the starting tile, green can go over here and score 4 points. But if red gets the starting tile, red kind of already needs the starting tile over here. Same goes for the splitter. red, of course, needs the splitter over here, but if green gets the splitter, then green gonna go over here and score 4 points for this here city. So it's just not particularly useful. Well, I mean, it is useful, but for green and not for red. João does start and a block against this here square after all, which maybe wasn't that necessary because now Ricardo can continue this here city for free after he has defended it. But then from red's perspective, maybe we can go here, here, restrict the city a little bit further. Sure, a road Dorito will allow red to score additional points, but the additional restrictions are going to make sure that this here meeple never doubles the city points or comes back to red's hand. Red's still ahead, solid 18 points regardless, gets another crossroads, which makes a quite obvious move. 2 points, setting up a 4-point road that goes for this square. So it's a very unfortunate turn of events for green, actually, because the chances of finishing this city are like 37%, 35%, I think. Yeah, 35% around that area. Either we get a splitter. Actually, no, the chances are even higher. Yeah, the chances are higher than this, because either we get a splitter or we get a starting tile plus Dorito combo. But then it also depends on the order, right? Because sometimes if we get the Dorito first, we go here. We go here. But then we don't draw the starting tile. Anyway, Ricardo starts a 3-point field, which is quite interesting. I guess he figures that we're so close to the end of the game that we need to start spending meeples. And then he's also counting on the fact that either he can draw the dagger tile to expand his field and get this meeple back, or your opponent, green, gets the dagger, and then green's going to give a meeple back to red as well. And of course, there's this splitter opportunity, which is just huge for red. This second farmer is going to do quite a lot, and I believe this might as well have been the game-winning tile. Oh, to add insult to injury, the 6 points and the continuation of this farm. It is just obscene. Look at this, and on this, these take the ironclad control of the field. Johnny's trying desperately to get some points at the bottom by finishing a 6-point city. Ain't gonna nowhere cut it. So he needs to get the dagger soon enough, and then somehow finds a good place to spend 3 meeples, but good luck with that. Haidevaka. Alright, so sportr's trying to block in. Hey, Johnny getting something. Needs to drop a farmer now. Yes. Well done, because he needs to hope for the dagger tile soon enough. Minus 20. The city's going to be like a 19-point move. But then the farms belong to Ricardo. And that's going to be tough to overcome. Scoring tile for sportr. He could probably score 4 points for this here road, which is a net 3-point move. Or he could go over here and try and restrict that square, which actually would be very interesting. Goes for 3 points. Johnny with a scoring tile of his own. Gonna go here. I presume. I don't really see anything else. Or maybe we have to go here for 4 points. No. Yes, of course, at the top. And we have to... Yes, and we have to do this. Excellent move. Excellent move. Scoring 4 points. 3 for this here farm, plus this here guy. And the first dagger goes to sportr. Well, I mean, green deserves at least 1 dagger from this deck. Come on. Straight line. A very uninspiring straight line here for green, which he can do nothing with it, absolutely. This here farm is now being controlled by 2 red meeples for 4 points. Que amasso. He's now trying to expand his field a little bit, which is actually quite savvy, because it prevents red from going over here and starting a farm. And hey, Vanilla City Cap, that's actually quite kind of nice. He can go over here and expand his field a little bit, so that's a 3-point move. And then he needs to hope that he gets the dagger on the last turn, but then, first of all, the chances of that happening are 1 in 3, which is not great. And even if he does that, he's going to get the 3 meeples back, with which he will be able to do absolutely nothing. He's going to end up with a meeple surplus. You got a feel here for João's tile draws. Of course, Ricardo played this actually very precisely, with this here defense, with various setups. Well, the only issue that I have is with this here move, which should have been from the other side for a couple of reasons. But, you know, if you take a lot of skill with a little bit of luck, or maybe a little bit of luck in this here game, then you just get something unstoppably. Oh, there's a word. What is tareia? I mean, I don't know, like in European Portuguese is quite, let's say, unpredictable to me. Bem demais. It's supposed to be bom demais as one word if you're from a particular state in Brazil. That's how it's said. Yeah, so basically sportr is saying in the chat that he got a good run out. But hey, Ricardo did finish a city, and that was, I think, 16 points. Oh, 18 even. Already, so 21-point difference. No real chance here for Johnny. Some games are just like this, but it is a best of 3. And maybe João gets a better run out in the second one. At the very least, he's the starting player, so that's nice. Okay, there's one word which I don't know. Ok, empresto. Alguém que entende português pode explicar? Okay, Ricardo has started a new city to also create an attacking platform against Green City over here. This one is an interesting decision. I guess normally you do add this tile to your city, but you do it either like this or like this. And I can't tell you right off the bat which one is better. I think maybe this one. So the reason is, if we go here, then we give back a nice monastery spot. We also protect this here square a little bit. And if we go over here, we give back a better connection platform. But it is completely fine, because this city, out of 3 tiles, is weak enough that we can allow our opponent connecting to it. Yeah, and also João chooses to build up the city in such a way that controls the road, so that is quite nice. Oh, okay. So basically, tareia is just the European word for amasso. A beat down. Also, I like the English word beat down. It was recently added to the Scrabble dictionary, and I think it was either in the latest 2023 update or in the 2021 update, one of those. I'm not sure, like, if any of my viewers is interested in that stuff, but yes, beatdown is in the official International English Scrabble Dictionary. Back to this. Okay, some actually interesting things on the board. So now we're going to have ourselves a proper Iberian game with a reasonably early farmer. Quite an open position, a bit of tension here. João is now going to need to choose whether to go over here, the answer to which is no. Of course, he's going to finish this here city, get a meeple back, meeple a new road, and then have a meeple majority with which he can attack the beautiful 9-point field of red. This is actually quite interesting from sportr, kind of expanding the city of green, trying to turn it not into a threat, and then also developing his own road. A lot of quick points for both players. Johnny with an open city at the top now gets the quadruple tile. Oh, this is super interesting, and without hesitation, he basically commits to building a ruin. This is a move which I don't like one bit. I think a better move was just to go over here to try add it to your opponent, and then maybe go here and threaten something with the city still. I know that many beginner players like to build big cities too much. Not so much beginner players, but like at ELO 300 or so, where you just overcommit to one big city and you build it the entire game, and then your opponent just spends 2 tiles to join and equalize all the points. This was not what I was suggesting. I was kind of suggesting to just keep the fate of the city a little bit more flexible, because after this tile, it's like getting completed never, less than 1% of the time. Without this tile, you know, there can be options. Alrighty, so Ricardo, in the meantime, equalizes green city at the top. Green now with a curve. Could go for a farmer. This is what makes most sense to me. He could also go over here. Not so much to protect this meeple, but simply to eliminate this platform, which could be used to connect to the city. Even if it doesn't get completed, it is already worth 9 points, so you don't want your opponent sharing it, but green chooses to prioritize the field, and red now might go for a city here, but he might choose to wait for better tile. Yeah, and he does exactly that. João, of course, is going to try and pressure the square a little bit. I don't really see any other moves, and this is also the reason why you don't want to have the quadruple city tile over here. Like, without that tile, the city would have been so much more menacing. Now red just invades it like it's nothing. It is basically a guaranteed connection, because there are 2 squares which can be used over here. One of them is going to be used right now. But the collateral damage is this here meeple, which is not going to see the light of day soon enough, because there are only 3 tiles that fit into this square. Eventually green is going to complete this here city. Now try to pressure it a little bit later. And then I was going to say green can use his meeple majority to try and win himself a big ruin or city, but that ain't going to happen, because look how quickly Ricardo draws the last rose tile, equalizes both the scoreboard and meeples. And we're basically back to square one. Yes, I agree with Vinny Lessa. Amasso sounds much better. Alrighty, Ricardo discards a monastery, which I did not expect him to do. He seems to be, well, both players are kind of reasonably aggressive in scoring. Maybe João more so. I would have loved the meeple either on this monastery, or probably even better here for 4 points, setting up a 9-pointer over here, an evil hamster. So I think a bit of a shy move here from Ricardo at this stage of the game. Perhaps giving a little break for Johnny, who has many options. Option 1, we start a loop road like this. It is not the most ambitious move, but hey, 4 points are 4 points are 4 points. We could also start a new road like this, which actually I might like even more with so many road ends still remaining. I don't like any non-scoring moves in this position. I just don't see what we could do. I guess we could go here and eliminate a monastery, which goes over here, but I don't see why we would do that. Yeah, I love that idea. Not an obvious road necessarily, but scoring points is very often underrated in competitive Carcassonne, and if green wins this game by 4 points, we're going to know exactly why. Hi, Hugo. That's an interesting decision from sportr. I do like it. It's putting some pressure on this here square, with actually not many tiles left to fit there. Only 3 city caps, one of them a starting tile, no roses available, so it is quite a lot of pressure. But this also means that Ricardo thinks not much of this here city potentially, because a move that I was tempted to play was going over here and trying to invade this here city, perhaps with 6 big tiles already in the deck. Red was a bit afraid of getting blocked, and his opponent pulling the remaining big tiles. Monastery for Ricardo, and finally he summons the courage to meeple one. But an immediate regret might follow as Ricardo is kind of running out of meeples. So either a 3-point road is going to follow, or finishing this row, which I think is a bit too timid. Or, you know what, I think in this position, we just go here. And we stack the monasteries. We have 2 places where we can get a meeple back. Like, aggressive scoring all the way. These 7 points are also fine, but I love that move for Ricardo. This is what we're supposed to do here. Johnny with an interesting decision. He could either go here for the Ukrainian technique with the meeple, try to develop them, try to limit the monasteries, but I like this move as well. Basically just going for the big ruin. He can connect immediately. His meeple at the top, of course, is super vulnerable. And now sportr is running out of meeples a little bit. I think the way we win this game as red, if you ask me, we ignore this ruin, at least for a while, which technically is not a ruin yet, but it will be. It's just so easy to block from this here square. We do things like this, maybe, and then we try and get a meeple back from one of these places, either the monasteries, and we just hope to have more stuff on the scoreboard compared to our opponent. Ricardo has a significant time advantage, 11 minutes on the clock compared to Johnny's 7.5. So far, quite good time management. And he chooses to place his last meeple on the city. So he basically does not want to play an imbalance. He figures that the city points are too much. And yeah, he just wants to equalize everything. But now I'm a bit worried about him staying without meeple for several moves, because there are not that many crossroads to get a meeple back. Okay, I guess there are 4. And Ricardo will now gonna have free reign to pressure the square. I would be considering 2 moves as green, either going over here with a 3rd meeple straight away, or maybe just go here, prepare a 6-point city which only he can claim, and also open up this platform for potential blocking. Because ideally what green wants to do, he actually does not want to invade this with a 3rd meeple. If he can successfully block the square, then he will be able to preserve the majority on the city without the need to invest 1 more meeple, which surely would spell doom for red. And this is exactly what he does. Immediately, sportr gets a connection tile, which unfortunately for him means that he is not able to use this tile as a road end. That would be unwise if you were to do that. And Ricardo now gets himself a crossroad, which is a fantastic tile for him. He's going to finish this road. There's a lot to think about the orientation of this road. I can't quite calculate which one's better. I think this one, that limits the city towards a field plus city tile, because there's more of those, and we can claim those 6 points much more easily. But we definitely need to get a meeple back here. Our meeple at the top is about to get blocked anyway, and 1 versus 0 is a great advantage in meeples, but it is not forever. Hi, Diogo. Hi, Antonio. Yeah, that it was quite wise from sportr to use a tile to deny these 6 points to Ricardo. Also quite a nice move, covering up a potential invasion platform that green could use, but I'm not sure if he sees that there's actually another sneaky invasion platform over here with one of the 2 remaining city cap tiles through the last tube tiles like this in this area. And of course, nobody cancelled this here platform on the left. Yeah, I feel like Ricardo can put his meeple advantage to good use here. He could go here, try to pressure this here road a little bit. I would like that move. Or maybe think of some restrictions of these here squares, none of which quite work. I hope he doesn't do something crazy and drop a farmer and lose his meeple for 0 points. Yeah, I think he finds one of the best moves. sportr now with a tricky tile, but I assume we can just develop our monasteries. No, he instead tries to get meeples back as soon as possible. And this allows Ricardo some potentially more interesting things. Well, the obvious move is to score 3 points, which I think he's going to resort to. There's also this here opportunity. Ooh, actually, which I do like. I like this one a lot. Why don't we just try and block this road? It will be almost impossible to recover it at all. Yes. A 3-point sacrifice. And we could even now go over here and block this road completely. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but we could do that. We could also go here at the top, try to restrict this here square. We could go here and try to restrict this here city, not allowing our opponent to finish a shared city, get a meeple back. But this move, of course, makes more sense. I kind of forgot that this meeple existed. sportr keeps blocking the features of João. Who, again, can now go over here and block this square if he so chooses. Because it's still not impossible to recover this meeple. Green can also go over here and pressure these here monasteries. Yeah, so the block is the move in this here case. A counter block is the response, and it's a very timely response because there are no tiles that fit into the square, originally 3 but now 0. And look at this, green would have finished the city with a starting tile. Instead, he needs to settle for 4 points at the bottom, but he's already 10 points ahead on the scoreboard and 2 meeples ahead. So Ricardo just needs to get himself meeples. No, Ricardo, impatient Ricardo, impatient Ricardo. Like, I really don't like this idea, finishing the shared city. Like, he could have placed both of these tiles over here, and he would have already finished his monasteries. Like, this is, sometimes when you're down meeples and you don't have meeples on the board, it is very tempting to shared features, to finish shared features just so that you can get a meeple back. But then you don't get any points from that, and you also lose a point, as he was in a 2-against-1 winning mini battle. So if only he would have been a bit patient, he would have had 3 more points and a meeple back without giving green this here meeple back. What a move from Ricardo, from João. So first of all, 7-point monastery, lovely. Second, it most importantly prevents sportr from going over here with a city cap and trying to go for the 50-50 invasion against this here big ruin. And if he wants, Ricardo can now go YOLO and invade like this, but the square is so easily blockable. That would be, I don't know, like 3% chance of success or something like this. Hi, Napamai. Right, I'll just try to not use the players' names anymore. Let's stick with colors. Ouchie! If you're Ricardo here, going for 9 points, winning a super important coin flip, and to add insult to injury, he still has, look at this, he still has a chance to get the last city cap, finish the monastery, and even drop a farmer, so a potential 7-point move available. sportr still short for meeples, which again is on him, so don't feel too sorry about the tile runouts for in this particular game. There's still some things that he can do. Yeah, sure. I would have preferred maybe something like this, trying to set up a long road, which would not have worked, but whatevs. João can now go here, claim this road, but I wouldn't do that. I would actually go, yeah, sure, blocking is fine, but I would have gone here just to prevent my opponent from blocking this here square, but from invading the city here. This invasion, of course, is super blockable from both sides, but I can think of one tile. Actually, no, I think any tile in the deck can block that invasion. I don't think there's too much that we have to worry about. Oh, no, scratch that. The quadruple crossroads. Is this the chance for Ricardo? Like, so we have to go over here. I don't know if we have to, but I'm considering this. So we go over here, and then we hope for the 1 in 11 chance, so a 9% chance that our opponent gets a crossroads, which is the only tile in the deck with which they can't block this square, and then we get the tube and connect. Speaking of blocking squares, ouchie, ouchie. Now, actually, we need some extra tiles from Red's perspective to develop this farmer. 2 crossroads in both here places. A 5-point road for green. And what do I have to say? Quetareia? Really? It doesn't feel right. Ricardo is going to keep scoring. He did finish the monastery, by the way. Of course, the field is not available given this here red meeple on the field. So what do we do here as Ricardo? Yeah, something like this, going for a 3-point road, trying to pressure that square. Now, not necessary anymore. 3-point road at the top is going to happen right now. Or 3-point road here. Or any other equivalent move. We don't want to go over here and take a 4-point road because that would create the chance of going for us to lose the field entirely. Well played. Let's go to the last. sportr is saying João gets the crossroads, and he's gonna go here. Yeah. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, that's so smart. I didn't actually see this. Look at this, a 6-point field, because these here 2 castles are touching this meeple. This meeple is being touched. And All right, so far quite symmetrical. The first game, of course, quite unlucky tile draw for João. And the second, quite an unlucky tile run out for sportr. But I would say in the second game, sportr, so like basically João made his luck a little bit, because there are certain decisions from red which were, I'm not sure if they were wrong necessarily, but they ended up just not working. For example, these here monasteries, as much as I liked them initially, because red didn't quite follow through of them, they ended up being stuck here and giving free reign for João to do anything. Alrighty, the decider for this spot in the finals. Look at all these titles. Look at all these titles. Very experienced player. 2003 national champion. And João is going to be the first player, already scoring 4 points from this here city and claiming a 2-point road sportr of just the lone city cap, which isn't going anywhere so far. Red is trying to restrict green's road. A good move there. The collateral damage that we experienced to this here city is nowhere near comparable. This square is actually quite sensitive. Green is going to start a new city over here, which is the best move, but it leads to sportr going over here and of course picking up the city. Anything, no, I was gonna say anything other than that was going to be a mistake. This move I'm gonna be very, very critical of. It is just not ambitious enough if you're trying to win. Because first of all, the principle of 2 cities. Second, threatening an 8-point city is a good idea. It's almost always a good idea. And then if your opponent invades, which they would have with this here tile, then it opens up an attack against this here city. It makes the road feel uncomfortable. And I think this was just unnecessary shyness from red. And I do see this like slight difference that in general, João is a bit more courageous regarding meepling things. sportr now can still claim the city, but of course, instead he chooses to invade, which I do quite like. João now is going to continue his road and maybe even meeple the farm, I presume. No, instead he does this, which is actually quite nice. It sort of protects his road indirectly. Now he's trying to attack this here city, and red is still playing around this here critical square. Doesn't have many options. I think he should go here at the top right now. Or maybe here. No, or maybe here. Start a new city somewhere. Not this one, of course, because it's too restricted at the moment. Actually, not the easiest tile to play. Like, regardless of where you put it, you're giving something back. Anyway, look at João now. He goes here, which I think is okay, but I would have preferred this here move, like a 5-point road up for grabs. sportr really does not care about the 5-point road again, and this here move again is a big mistake. Well, I'm not sure if it's big, but it is a mistake. It helps this meeple more than it damages this meeple, because there are certain situations how we can get a rose tile and save it. We can get the road monastery still. I think from red's perspective, it is still better to take these 5 points. 5 points for a road in the opening with one move? Like, how are neither play thinking it is a gold mine? Well, surely we... Oh, come on. No. What was that? What was that? Like, how do we do such a beautiful tile, beautiful tile, where we can score 4 points, and instead we score 3 points and we violate the principle of 2 cities? I just don't know. Maybe Ricardo, I think it's psychological, because like Ricardo was without meeples for so long in the last game that he figures, you know, never again, I'm not going to lose meeples. But you have to score, and leaving that city cap open was like the safest thing ever. And that's why João is now ahead. sportr, of course, does meeple this road eventually, now that it is under green's control. Green with quite an interesting defense here. That's actually very, very good defense, because look at this. It builds up a long road going all the way like this, the snaky road. And it's quite difficult to do anything about this. The only way this road could be broken is with the monastery over here. And if it is close to the end of the game, then João can get the road monastery, go over here and just claim it for 8 points regardless of it being blocked. So this road meeple is actually now quite safe. And it almost always makes its way back to green's hand. Alright, so João is building up his city. sportr is helping him a little bit, but that's a worthy price, because this year's city is quite vulnerable. And João is now thinking, so do we go here and do we claim those 8 points? Or do we take 6 points for the field? Or do we not go here at all and just start a monastery in a different place? And then try to go for a long, long snake road instead. It is super tempting. And I think if there were 3 of these tiles available, then I would go for the snake road. But with just 2, I think I'm doing this. And I'm claiming this. Oh, a farmer. I don't like I mean, it's alright. But it is 2 points fewer than the monastery. The farmer could develop in theory, but it is quite a restricted field. In any case, João is now doing just fine as he's trying to build a city. sportr now tries to block it. João defends. Still 1 tile that goes into this square. I think is just a horrible position for the player with the red meeples, especially after this here tile is drawn. João now takes himself a city cap and protects this square. So first of all, the city is already scoring 9 points, and it will score 20 points if this here tile is drawn. Green is already ahead on the scoreboard a little bit. Now tries to restrict red's monastery unsuccessfully, but is going to be re-restricted again, of course. This move being the alternative. Perhaps maybe we're going to break the city instead. But I really like going over here. I think this is more important. We break the monastery. It almost never gets completed after this, despite the fact that there are still 2 tiles that fit there. Both players start monasteries on the right, so the positions open up a little bit. And that's why I was like a bit apprehensive about this here meeple, just because I don't see these points increasing unless he gets himself this here tile and a curve, and this meeple makes it all the way to the outside. Yeah, given these chances, these 6 points are probably worth it. Maybe 6 points with a chance of expansions are better than 8 guaranteed points and no chance of expansion, or at least that was the logic of the play with the green meeples. Green invades the red city on the right. Red starts a new city. Green restricts it. Natural move so far. Straight line for sportr and a second farmer. Well, this is the second farmer in the game, the first farmer for red. It's mostly a compensation farmer. Of course, it now scores only 3 points for this here completed city. But if this here guy gets completed, this here guy gets completed, there will already be 9 points. Then this guy will also be in the field. So I like the choice to farm there. There are now still 2 tiles that are left to fit into this square. So the meeple makes its way back quite often. Now, from green's perspective, we should do something like this. Try to restrict our opponent's side of the monastery cluster. We should not try to do something like this. It's just not a good move at all. If they were splitters available, that's a different issue, right? Because then we're afraid of our opponent drawing a splitter and finishing a city for 8 points without finishing ours. But since both splitters are in the deck, like, I just don't see why we don't want to go here at the very least, and then try to block the square and get ourselves a mini battle and so on, or just go here and try to pressure this monastery. So this is definitely unfortunate and imprecision for João, who is still ahead 12 points. Wonderful position for green. This 50-50 chance never went away from the square. That is huge. sportr with a rather interesting move, trying to prevent green from finishing the city and dropping a phoam. In the meantime, red's meeple at the top gets permanently blocked as there are no tiles that fit into that square, as all the 3 horses are already on the board. sportr is trying to block the monastery off green. Green probably might want to go over here for protection, or maybe just go over here for a counterattack. I guess protection makes a little bit more sense, as there are some scenarios how this here red's monastery gets finished, but this here green monastery does not, and so he's trying to avoid just that. Scoring tile for sportr probably goes on the left to create further damage against this here square. Still plenty of city plus field city caps, which is being drawn immediately. Monastery for sportr chooses to start it for 4 points. I don't blame him. It might look like not a lot of points, but hey, only 15 tiles remaining, and you have to score something somehow. I can't quite calculate this quickly as to what's the overall score is, but now that João has dropped this here second farmer for 3 points, which will turn into a 6-point farmer soon enough via one of these here 2 routes, he's in a very, very good position. He also now drew this here tile, which of course red wants for his field and monastery in this here area. Well, still one of those in the deck. Red's gonna need this tile soon, maybe like here, we draw the dagger, curve, city cap, all these kind of things. Ricardo with nearly 11 minutes on the clock still, so maybe not the best time management in this one. And João is going like spot on, still has 7 minutes for the pre-end game. sportr gets a meeple back, which is huge. It is absolutely worth the 2-point sacrifice, but João gets himself a lovely city cap tile, which really belonged in red's field. These were potential 14 points, and now instead they belong to red. Red gets the dagger, although this is not the kind of dagger that he wants. The critical tile for this here square is still in the deck. Scoring tile for green, probably going to grab 3 quick points over here. One might be worried that somebody might go over here and snatch this city, but this is actually not possible because these here tiles have already gone out. sportr is saying that he's having a meeting in 1 minute, and he's saying congratulations already. Maybe that explains why he's playing this quickly. Well, he did get the critical tile for this here square, and he just decides to meeple something just to get it over with. João finishes the monastery, does not meeple a new road, so a slight imprecision. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. sportr finishes a road of his own. Alright, well now João is going to go over here and take the 6-point road, and also expand his field by bringing 1 more castle in, right? Okay, didn't notice it. 5 points are good enough. So finally, Ricardo gets to finish his own monastery and start a new road. Straight line for João. Probably going to go over here. Score some 5 quick points and then try to get another road tile to expand his meeple on his last move. Now, if you want to troll your opponent, this is at this point where you think for 5 minutes and 17 seconds. And he actually does succeed. Gets himself an extra road points, gets himself this city. And the points are now being counted. sportr is saying good luck in the finals. He's saying that, well, I should have counted better these last points, but I saw that everything was already sure. Jogatanas? I don't know that word. It's like games? I would say jogão, which is what I'm typically used to hearing after an interesting game. Yes, and then he's saying that he's also was trying to play fast because sportr kind of gave up. Okay, what is this disapchar? These words, I still have things to learn. Hi, João. Congratulations again on this convincing win. Another thriller until the end. So the games that we saw were not quite close, yet still some interesting decisions were made. I really like this 50-50 threat for the entirety of the game. And Green managed to win this despite being a bit unlucky and not being able to cash share on this setup. Yeah, the tile runout in this game, that was actually not like super skewed. I didn't really see Green get any particular luck, because there were certain mistakes that Red made, like saving this meeple inadvertently, which ended up being quite nice for Green. Then not taking advantage of this here 8-point city, being very shy with his scoring tiles, and then these opening effects, they just cascade for the entirety of the game. Oh, okay, so sportr is actually saying that he did not remember that he was having that meeting, so that was a bit of an unfortunate scheduling error for this match on his part. Oh yes, and this actually influenced his this influenced his decision making in the game as well, because he was in a bit of a rush. Alrighty. That should be it. I'm also actually need to be headed somewhere. Ah, despachar, to expedite. I gotta remember this one. It's pretty cool word. Okay, so he was trying to expedite this game just by playing a bit too fast, which makes sense, and that explains his time management and why he still has nearly 10 minutes on the clock. Yes, João, I noticed that too. But yeah, sometimes external circumstances are also part of the game. All right, congratulations to our finalists. Still, sportr has something to hope for, because I don't remember correctly if there's going to be a third place match. Yes, of course, there is going to be a bronze medal match, and it does mean something because one of the prizes for this year championship is participation in the 2026 Carcassonne Champions League, the international one. But the second and third place get to go to the international qualifier for the Champions League, so there is still a chance for sportr to defeat the loser of the second semifinals and then plow through the international qualifiers and still get their ticket to the coveted International Champions League. But João Margarido, still a contender for the ultimate prize. He'll be facing either Pedro Antunes or Guilherme Neves, and we will find out that about 7 hours from now. So at 21:30 UTC is our next match. The stream has already been set up. In case you're new here, subscribe to not miss the notification for the stream. And of course, if you liked anything about today, make sure to meeple the like button because it helps with the algorithm more than you might think. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.